So we're back into the Bureau XCOM Declassified with one of my least...
There's an outsider
with more talking.
In one piece.
All the ones we've seen so far explode when the user dies. The boys in the lab will want to get their hands on that.
I'm gonna see if I can secure...
See, it's kind of miraculous that this just magically doesn't explode. That kind of defines...
the observatory. Now, how to get there.
That defines a lot of the stuff you pick up magically didn't do anything. Oh, I love how stealth works there, like just completely staring at them. It's basically once you take an opening shot, then they trigger. Kind of annoying and dumb. Wish those stealth mechanics were a little more fleshed out. But what can you say?
Take cover.
Now that strikes me as entirely arbitrary, because I didn't even enter the spot where the mine would be. That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, why does it work like this? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any understandable sense.
Lifting it.
Little did I know that gun turret back there was going to shred pretty much everybody.
Focus on that one.
How do I get into cover?
Walk it off.
But yeah, the scatter laser kind of sums up one of my biggest problems with the game is, one, there's a lot of lore contradictions that don't make any sense and are completely unexplained. But also, there's just a lot of things that are lazy. They just hand you things instead of having you upgrade to them. In the original, well, not the original, but in XCOM Enemy Unknown, you actually had to upgrade your weapons to laser and eventually plasma in order to stay competitive. In the beginning you fought things like sectoids and the occasional outsider and Thin Man, and that was all you could really take down with ballistic based weapons. Then later on you had to build laser weapons so you could take on mutons and whatever the little bug things were that were a total pain. But until you actually got laser weapons, you were heinously impotent against these enemies. I remember I went into the first abduction mission and promptly got my ass handed to me because I did not have the appropriate weapons. And in this game, it always makes sure that you have the appropriate everything.
We can cut through this cord.
They basically hand you everything you will need throughout the main story of the game.
The support agent can deploy a heavy shield generator, temporarily blocking all incoming fire, while his squad fires safely from within.
Also, another thing that really disappointed me was that things you get in the side missions you can easily pick up in the main missions too, so really the only reason to do side missions felt like to get experience, to get the abilities, but even that wasn't a big deal because doing the optional missions gave them a ton, like they leveled up each time they did one of the away missions where you could only send agents, you couldn't call on them yourself. So it really felt like side quests were basically just a way to pad out the game, which was disappointing. Because side missions in there was no such thing as side missions in XCOM. It was all main missions. It's like, this place is being terrorized. You need to help them. You need to help these people, and you had to choose which people to help. That it was a situation of kind of like, oh, this is unfortunate. I can't help everyone.
Repel nearby enemies, knocking them away and disorienting them.
I literally never
Damage
used this
is
skill,
low, but it can keep foes at bay or push them into a trap.
90% of the skills in this game are useless. Really, all you need is an engineer and a support, and that's all you will ever need because they're the only classes that get useful abilities. The sniper gets some like heavy damage abilities, but the engineer has things he can use way more often that are way more useful. It was also disappointing to me that basically everything worked on this ammo system because you were limited in combat. Really, that was all you were limited on. Is in combat you basically couldn't just run and gun and shoot your weapon off everywhere you wanted because everywhere else there was going to be 80 million bajillion ammo pickups to make sure you had full ammo before every fight. I really don't understand the purpose of that. It's like each fight you had this weird restriction, like cannot shoot above X number of times, and I just didn't understand why you would have that. Like eventually you can run out of ammo. There's several games where you can't run out of pistol ammo.
Over there, on the move.
This game, you could run out of all of it. Never understood that. Like, can you imagine trying to melee this sectopod to death? What is it? I'm gonna guess giant stompy robot that's like horribly boring compared to its counterparts in other XCOM games.
Enemies engaged! Sectopod!
Huh, we've never fought this before. I know what to call it.
Things are armored!
Yes, intelligent, just...
We need a boost! Activating stims! Lifting! Solid hit! Ow! I'm hurting here! Keep the pressure on him!
This also is not the most ominous music possible.
Set up some cover! Shield going up! Get that bastard's attention! Come on, you dumb bastard! Repositioning. How about some healing?
Oh, he dead.
Push!
See, literally never used it. He died before he could use that skill. Isn't that great? I didn't lie.
Get him on his feet!
I don't want to have to do the work. You do the work.
He's coming around! He's okay!
Yeah, headshot.
We got that!
Yeah, that thing. Watch out, it's a sectopod. Same person who magically knows what it is earlier magically doesn't know what it is now.
I'm going in.
That's a theme in this game, is I typically try to run into everything and then I die and it doesn't matter because my guys can revive me without actually having to care.
Get those stims ready!
I'll have you up in a jiffy. You ready for round 2, Commander?
I owe you.
Someone! Help! Thanks.
Get its attention!
Hey, over here, asshole! Area secure.
Did you just say my precious? Did we actually just kill Gollum?
Better get moving, Carter. Place is surrounded.
The place is surrounded, but feel free to mosey around and pick up every single ammo pickup in the area. No urgency whatsoever. Man, even Dead Space 3 has better pacing than this, and that is saying something. In Dead Space 3, they give you things like, you need to get out of there, and you actually feel like you need to get out of there. And this, like, you need to get out of there, and then the place is entirely empty. It sure is a good thing they let me equip new things on this thing with a free handout backpack schematic. Like, seriously, they don't. Your starting backpack doesn't even do anything. Why wouldn't you just want to equip that? That's what's kind of annoying, is you didn't actually get to pick which one you got. It's like, here, have extra headshot damage. I think I missed one earlier, to be fair, but still. It's kind of like, here, have an automatic upgrade thing that you. It's a really lame upgrade thing, because I don't actually know if they benefit from headshot damage. I think I mentioned that in one of the earlier episodes, but this seems like kind of a useless, especially for the two characters I have with me. It seems like a useless ability, or because they're not snipers, they're not going to be doing critical damage. Maybe they'll get the. Oh, I think I actually add the sniper to my squad to see if he can use it, but. And see, here I made the mistake of not actually picking the engineer. I was like, well, when does he get the turret? Oh, rank 4? That'll take too long. I don't want to take him. I should have totally taken him. Snipers are absolutely useless. I learned that the hard way. In Enemy Unknown, snipers are absolutely godly. You need them in every single mission because once they get squad sight, they just absolutely dominate the battlefield. And I'm okay with that because it made sense. And because if anything got close to them, they died. In this game, they have just useless abilities. It says he's better at dodging bullets, but he isn't really. That doesn't actually mean anything. I gotta have all my colors consistent. You cannot go into the field of battle with a squad that looks like they just walked out of a circus tent, unless they all look like they walked out of the same circus tent. Also, I lose my vest and top hat later. I'm really disappointed about that. I got like some turtleneck. It was really lame. I looked like a huge nerd.
My God. It's
My God.
supposed to stop
Oh, I remember this
I
part
want this
sucked.
happening to the whole country. Then fight.
They don't see us yet. How convenient.
Take him down. Lining up the shot. Contact, hold up there.
Maybe you should get in cover.
Take cover there. Moving. Oh, I'm ready.
See, not actually good at taking cover. Surprise.
Focus on that one. On your target. Hey, how about some healing?
No.
Shield that spot. Shield up.
The shield is down.
Walk it off. Lifting it. Take it out. Attacking your target. That's your target. Target now. Target eliminated. I can't take much more.
These gun turrets were a pain in the ass, and they pretty much only show up in this level. I don't understand why they exist. They exist only to make your life hell in this level, and that is really dumb.
We need a boost. Stamps ready.
If they had actually been used outside other levels and weren't just such absolute bullet sponges, I might have been a little less upset with them. There's no real good way to get around this map. There's no flanking opportunities. This was a really poorly designed encounter area, I felt, because you're basically channeled into this right room. What is this guy doing out in the middle of everywhere? This is what I hate, is the AI just kind of runs around the battlefield willy-nilly. Like, oh, I can survive here. Like, no, they can't. Look, he's down. Now I have to go save him. Don't mind me, just running out here with 1 health. Hey, how's it going? But when you are busy reviving somebody, it is like almost literally impossible to die. I've never seen an agent go down while he's trying to revive somebody. Especially once you get the support leveled up. It is literally impossible for them to die because you give them something that reduces damage. Hey, look, he just jumped onto a mine. What a brilliant guy. You just give them something that reduces damage, and then they get an ability that's significant. Down again. but then they also reduce damage while they're on a revive mission, and it's just impossible for them to die.
He's back with us. Ow. Cover there. On the move. Going now. I'm in position.
We're going to cut it slightly short before I actually finish the encounter. Not a whole lot interesting happens here, so you're not missing out on a whole lot, and we'll finish the fight up next time. So far, what's happened in XCOM Enemy Unknown is quite different from what happens in the Bureau. In the Bureau, they give you things. In XCOM, you earn things. And I feel that is the big difference that sets the games apart. Is in the Bureau, you kind of get things that you don't necessarily deserve. Like, I magically can revive people as many times as I want. There's no penalty for them going down at all. There's no penalty for me going to revive them, as you just saw in that encounter. I was running out. I was completely exposed to about 4 different people. I only had 1 health bar, and not a single one of them fired a shot at me. Or if they did, they missed horribly. When in reality, if I had done that in any other game, I would be, well, any other competent game, I would be dead. And the same goes for when you send other people on revive orders. It's not just when the protagonist that you play as gets the revive order. Pretty much anybody can run into the middle of like the dead man zone, and they will survive. They can get out, they can revive the person, and there's no penalty for it. And this is a major flaw, I feel. It feels like the game holds your hand to make sure that you will never fail, but then it artificially restricts you from being able to do interesting things like provide covering fire and just lay down suppressive fire. It's because you have limited ammo. I can't just sit there with a gun and provide covering fire like you can tell a heavy to do in XCOM Enemy Unknown. You can't even get a weapon that has a clip larger than 32 bullets, I think. So you can't really effectively even give cover fire if you wanted to anyway. Which I find really disappointing because it kind of takes some of the strategy out of it. There's not a whole lot of tactics you can use in this game besides spam your abilities as often as you can, pick the support and the engineer so you'll be able to boost your damage, protect yourself, and also do a lot of damage with mines and turrets. And then the only other thing you do besides that is try to flank. You run from cover to cover, and you never leave cover, and you just try to flank them. And in XCOM Enemy Unknown, that was a similar thing, but there were ways you had to flank people. You couldn't just run out into the middle of everything to get to better cover, because you would die. In this game, not nearly so, especially because you can heal yourself on the run. I could run out in the middle of 18 different guys. They would all open fire on me. I'd go down to about 1 health, and then magic, like auto miss chance would kick in. I'd heal myself back to full. I'd get in. I'd sprint the rest of the distance, and I'd be there, and it'd be fine. It'd be even easier if I dodge rolled, because when you dodge roll, I think that's pretty much a get out of jail free card if you're in the middle of nowhere, because then it makes it much less likely that you'll be hit. And so it was really measured in, impactful in XCOM when you decided, I'm going to move my guy here. You had a reason to try to provide covering fire, because it would suppress somebody so they couldn't do anything to punish your guys trying to get into cover. You were rewarded for moving strategically and placing guys in important positions rather than just kind of being like, well, you guys please try not to run into the line of enemy fire like you saw at the end of that video, but otherwise I don't really care. Like, where they are, it doesn't ever matter, because they will hit them the only exception is the engineer, who has to have a shotgun. He's absolutely useless as a gunner, so you basically rely on him to do mines and sentries, and it's dumb. That's the only downside to an engineer, because telling them to run up close to an enemy is basically telling them to go kill themselves, because they aren't smart enough to actually figure out they should strategically advance behind cover, yada yada. They'll just run straight at them. So, that gets at some of the core issues. We might see a few more before this ends. A lot of it's going to be story missions. I think we have to fight one really obnoxious boss. It's basically just a giant health bar and thus really boring. But it does pose an interesting threat because it's a flying enemy. And it only shows up, I think, twice in the game, which I guess kind of nullifies the interesting part because then it's just a little disappointing. So, we'll see that next time. We'll get to meet Alan Weir, finally, and he is an important character throughout the game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you then. See you then.